Today on the show, we are joined by Marcos Curiel from POD. They've got a new album, Circles, out on Friday. Say what up, Marcos.
What's up?
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
We are dispensing with our usual shenanigans today because I have a guest in the studio. I'm joined by Marcos Curiel. Am I pronouncing your last name right?
Yeah, that's it, man.
See, Marcos Curiel from POD. And, well, there's a couple different reasons why you're here. One, we've been meaning to have this conversation on the radio for a long time.
Heck yeah.
And two, you have a new album which is out on Friday, an album called Circles.
Yes, sir. Excited, man. We've been working on it for over a year, and it's finally going to see the light of day.
What's the gestation? How long does it take you to make a record there?
Well, for us, man, it's a process because, you know, we want to put our best foot forward every time we put some new music out. So we're kind of picky, and we have to be inspired to do it. We can't just, we're not this, you know, cookie cutter machine kind of a band that's just like, hey, man, let's just put this out to put it out. No, we got to be vibing it and feeling it. So we started November 2017, and then we finished the whole process, mixing, mastering, July of 2018, and now it's coming out November 16th, 2018. So finally on Mascot Records, produced by The Heavy, a duo out of LA, who is managed by a friend of ours, Renee Mata, out in New York. Hey, Renee. And he felt that they were very, you know, up-and-coming, youthful guys that we wanted to, you know, try something different, and ended up coming out really well. And we're very, very happy with the outcome. And, yeah, Jay Baumgartner mixed it, NRG Studios, Hollywood, and Howie mastered it, and Mascot's putting it out. So, Mascot label.
Do you feel, because we were talking about this a little while ago, you play guitar very, very differently from especially most of the guys in the rock bands that I can think of. You've got a different thing. You've got a different kind of approach to playing the guitar. When you say you have to be inspired before you can go make a record, do you as a guitar player feel like, man, how am I gonna live up to the standard that I've set myself? Because there's a lot of guys that can just play riffs and get away with it. Look, you guys do something different pretty much every single time. There's a lot of bands out there that have made a perfectly good living writing the same song over and over again. Yeah. Some of my favorite bands, AC/DC, have
Social Distortion.
Disturbed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, although the new Disturbed record is really, really different in places. That was they stretched out a lot on that one. But you're not one of those bands that writes the same thing over and over again. Do you feel pressure as a guitar player to blow people's minds every single time they put on one of your records?
Well, I'm definitely not the Guitar Center, like Guitar Institute kind of player. I'm self-taught. I have an unorthodox style from what I'm told because I don't really have any rules. And there's all this stuff, I guess, when you read music and the way when you learn how to play guitar the proper way. Oh, you can't do this and you shouldn't be able to do that. And I'm like, well, for me, if it sounds good, James Brown said it in the James Brown movie. I don't know if he actually said it, but the movie that I saw, James Brown, if it sounds good and it feels good, then it's probably good, right? Because the saxophone or the trombone player was kind of giving him stuff like, that doesn't work, you know? And he was like, and he said that. And I feel the same way, man. Like, as a guitar player, it's like, I'm not that guy that has to play guitar every day. Like, you know, maybe when I was younger, but I think a lot of guys, they're like, oh, dude, and maybe that's why some people might not like my style as a player, because I'm not this technically virtuoso Steve Vai shredder kind of a player, but I wanted to do that when I was younger, and I realized that wasn't for me, and I realized the power of writing songs and writing music as opposed to shredding. So my approach is all about feel and sounds. What kind of sounds, and using space between parts. Like David Gilmour is a perfect example from Pink Floyd on using space and using one note that can supersede a guy that's shredding 1,000 notes. And that one note saying more than Uncomfortably Numb.
Yeah.
That's it right there for me. Like that Santana, same kind of thing, man. He's just talking with the guitar, and a lot of it is blues based. So that's my approach, and take it or leave it, man. I'm not trained like the proper way. I just kind of pluck away, and if it sounds cool and I like it, then cool.
Well, it seems to be working out. You seem to be having a pretty good run at this POD thing. You know, like
well, you know what?
Millions of records sold, millions of people rocked all over the world. See, it seems to be working out for you. I think people have, at this stage in the game, taken it rather than left it.
Well, one thing I get a lot is I'm blessed to have my own sound. People say that, you know what, dude? No matter where I'm at, if I hear something, there's a lot of people that imitate your sound. Well, that's what they say, but cool. I'll take it as a compliment. But they'll say, you know what? When you play a note and you hear a song, you know it's you playing guitar. Which the guitar players that I'm inspired by, The Edge, Santana, when you hear them play, they have their own sound. So I'm glad I'm blessed. I'm glad to even have that, because there's a lot of guitar players searching for their tone and their voice, and I just so happen to have my own. So
it's true. You know, it's funny because I never would have put what The Edge does. I never would connect you and The Edge, but now you say it, I'm like, aha, the delay pedal. That's it all makes sense. But no, you're right. He is a guy that uses space as much as he uses notes.
And that, you know, a lot of people don't understand that. Space is a key to the Police. If you listen to the Police, there is so much space. It's not overproduced with there's an empty spot there. Let's put a bunch of noise in there. No, there's wide open. That bass, guitar, and drums, dude. And they lit that space. And that's part of the vibe. And that's what I love about that band, dude.
My favorite band of all time is Beastie Boys. Second favorite band of all time is The Police. So I have read pretty much anything Sting has ever said about making music and how he made music and his thoughts about making music. And I remember he said purposely, he was like, back in the day, there were some three-piece bands around. And the habit at the time was you play as many notes as you possibly can on the drums. You're really thrashy on the guitar. You do everything you can to try and make it sound like there's more going on than there actually is. But he very wisely said, let's do something that's small. Rather than screaming and shouting and trying to get people to listen, let's whisper and have them lean in to hear what we're doing.
That's dope. I never heard that before. That's awesome, man.
More with Marcos from POD when we get back. Thank you so much for hanging, dude.
Heck yeah.
Real radio. 104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
I'm lucky enough to be joined on the show today by Marcos Curiel of POD fame. Their new record, Circles, is out on Friday. And I got to tell you, I love immediately when I listen to the first song, first verse, Rockin' with the Best. You guys mentioned KRS-One.
Yeah.
Or Sonny, your singer, mentions KRS-One.
Yeah.
And to me, that was so cool because he's probably my favorite rapper. Like, my favorite band of all time, Beastie Boys. Second favorite band of all time, Police. Favorite rapper, KRS-One. Not only because technically he's as hard as steel, but also because what he says, the way he uplifts is...
It's just conscious, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to see him once. It was the History of Hip Hop concert with him and Run DMC in New York City. And people were like, who is the best? You know, this is a competitive environment. This is a Take No Prisoners show. And this was like when I was a kid, this was the late 90s. So, you know, it wasn't necessarily at the point where they were nostalgia yet. They were still kind of in it to win it. So you get Run DMC and KRS-One and Public Enemy all on the same stage. They're going for the gusto, every one of them. And so the big question from everyone was like, who won? Like who took the night? And I was like, KRS-One, because of what he said. He just managed to lift people up. And you guys do that with your music every single time.
Well, you know what, man? It's why we do what we do. You know, being successful is a good thing, but you know what? We want to inspire and encourage people to get through life, man. And we know the struggle's real. The struggle's real. And I think KRS and a lot of hip hop, a lot of conscious hip hop is about the struggle and helping people get through that struggle. And I think POD's right in there with that, man. And that song, we're definitely giving props to old school hip hop. You know, MC Lyte, that's her chorus. We're basically giving homage to that era and showing people that we know what's up, and that's all.
So when you use an MC Lyte chorus, and I've always wondered this. I've always wondered this with hip hop, because like I was in a band and we made records and stuff, but we never borrowed from anyone else the way it's pretty common to do in hip hop and R&B music, in the way that you did. With something like this, where you use an MC Lyte chorus, do you have to ask her permission? How does that work?
It's mainly with the publishing companies. Our attorney notifies her publishing company, and we work the details out, and then they kind of say their price on what they want to charge for that part. And we agree to it because we're like, you know what? For us, it's more about the statement that we're making as an artist, as opposed to like, if she gets a higher rate, cool, give it to her, because we're giving her props. We're doing this to kind of show our listener that, you know what? If you don't know about this, maybe you'll do your research and you knew now. Like, that's one of the reasons why we do a lot of collaborations on our records. Well, you know, we're influenced by hip hop. So in the hip hop world, that was always accepted. In the rock world, it was kind of like not heard of.
Yeah.
And early on, we started doing it with Ika Mouse, which is a legendary reggae artist. HR from Bad Brains, legendary punk rock artist. Paige Hamilton, Mike Muir from Suicidal, Lou from Sick of It all these different artists that have influenced our band. And I think a lot of kids that listen to our band don't know who they are at times.
Right.
So we want to kind of teach them.
You know, I think that's cool. It's definitely something that Beastie Boys did. Yeah. And I think where they were great creators of music, but they were also great curators of music. Like, it's so funny. They didn't use a Buddy Rich sample when they did it, I don't think. But a friend of mine told me, he was like, they opened up a whole new world to me because of that one line, "I'm Buddy Rich when I fly off the handle." It was like, who's Buddy Rich? Oh, he's a drummer. He had a bad temper. Oh, he's really good at the drums, though. Like, this is like, and, you know, with all these records, I kind of feel like they were educating me when I was a kid. And it's really cool that you guys are doing that on your POD records, too.
Yeah. Well, you know what, dude? You get it. And you know, you've been listening to us for quite some time, and you understand. Surprisingly, there's a lot of people out there in America that don't understand it. They want their straight ahead, what they want, narrow-minded style of music, and you know what? We're not for them.
Do you find, like, how do you do in Europe? Do you go to Europe?
Yeah, we're about to head to Europe February 2019.
Here's the thing. Like, I was in a band, and we came from England, and we were sort of we weren't anywhere near as good as you, but we were grabbing from all these different things. We really liked Beastie Boys, we really liked Chemical Brothers, we really liked Soundgarden, we really liked Pantera, and we didn't see any reason why we couldn't take all that and put it into one song. And in England and in Europe, we found that the more we kind of threw into the blender, the more people respected it. They're like, "How many styles are you mixing up?" I say, "That's like brilliant. That is. I see what you're doing there. Rather well done."
That's and pretty good, mate.
Here,
mate.
And in England, people are like, "It's Chemical Brothers, it's Beastie Boys, it's Soundgarden. It's great. I tell you, great."
Yeah.
And we got over here, and people went, "It's Beastie Boys, Chemical Brothers, Soundgarden. What is it? Like, what?"
It's not safe, man. It's you know. And that's the problem I think we have. I don't want to get political or into like that kind of stuff.
Oh, no. I was hoping you would. This is what this show is about.
Well,
Please
listen,
continue.
man, like when something's different, I think a lot of people are scared of it, and then they judge it. And then a lot of times they don't do their research or anything, and then they just cast it out, which is not cool, man, for me as an artist and as a person, because you know what? That's the cool thing about music. I'm going to go back to music. Music is subjective for a reason. Not everybody has to like it. I mean, there's people that a lot of people. There's a lot more listeners that like pop music, and you know the numbers. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people that don't care for pop at all or country.
Yeah,
and that's okay with me. You don't have to like my band.
Yeah,
but to go out of your way on social media and spread negative noise about my band because you
people do that to POD.
Yeah, surprisingly,
really.
You know,
you guys
somebody's
are so
website.
Nice. I can't imagine anyone going out of their way to give you a hard time.
That goes to show you, you know, the climate of where we're at online. You know what I'm talking about. Somebody could do something great, and there's always going to be, may not be a lot. There's going to be a few thumbs downs or a few people that are like, I'm like, well, are you going to go out of your way to put a thumbs down on something? I don't get it. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. You know what I'm saying? It's really weird, man.
The people, well, also, you've touched on a bunch of really important things here, and I think, like, the world is not a black and white place. We talk about this on this show a lot. The world's not black and white. People want a simple narrative. Simple people want a simple narrative, and they want to be able to comfortably categorize someone and put them in a box. They want to be able to go, that's liberal. They want to be able to go, that's conservative. They want to be able to go, I understand that by putting it in a box, it makes me feel safe. It makes me feel like I understand what's going on. But you dig a little deeper, the world isn't black and white. There's a lot of different shades of gray. And in the gray, you find the truth. And so many people are willing to dumb themselves down, I think, just for the sake of feeling safe, like they can understand
And
something.
I'm not that guy.
No. Well,
and that's what gets me in a lot of discussions, heated discussions at times, because I don't... The problem now is I think that there's a lot of people that think that automatically that you agree with them. They'll start talking like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them going, no, because I'm not on the same page with you, bro. Like, seriously, don't make me... That's where you're making me feel awkward. Now I got to come out of my box and tell you, you know what, actually, no.
See, this is another thing that I like about England, about growing up in England. Like... Because people there are so freaking polite, or at least were when I was growing up. With Brexit now, things are getting like a little bit more divided and ugly. But at the time, people were able to disagree with one another without it turning into a fight. And in England, I don't really think that's true, but that's your opinion and you're welcome to it. God save the Queen, pip pip, cup of tea, shall we? Let's ignore this unpleasantness and get along. And in America, it was like, you disagree with me? Outside right now, let's go, buddy. You know, it's just like, and
well, I mean, dude, there's a misconception. I mean, I'm an American. You know, I'm a proud American. I love my country, but there's this misconception. Like, I don't know how political we want to get here, but
this show is political.
Okay, well, there's a misconception out there that if you don't support a certain person or a certain party or a certain thing, that you're very un-American. And I'm like, no, that's actually my right, and that's why it's more American, because I don't have to agree with you, and I'm not gonna... We can agree to disagree. I don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with me, but we don't have to get violent, dude. We don't have to get overly angry and hateful over some stupid disagreements, dude. That's just how I see it, dude.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radioland. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
So I'm here with Marcos from POD. New album, Circles, out on Friday. And I just got a copy today. Like,
yes.
I probably shouldn't tell you how I got a copy. I think you'd be within your rights to break my knees if you found out. But like,
I think I know.
I've had a chance to listen to some of it. And you guys never, ever disappoint. You always come with something creative, powerful, and positive. So I'm very excited for this. And if you're any kind of a POD fan...
And that's why the art's the way it is, brother. If you look at it, it's representing where we come from. We're very proud of Southern California, and it's all beautiful and positive, dude, you know? Some people are like, dude, that's a trip for a POD record. Why not? You know?
You know what? It's funny because I look at it and I go, this makes perfect sense for a POD record. Now, I'm holding it in my hot little hand. What you can't see, because there's no pictures on the radio, is the fact that this POD record is a sunset, ocean, butterflies.
Butterflies, and then if you look deep into the art, there's the coastline of California in the front cover.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. And You guys are how much of a part? How much do you think the fact that you're from San Diego? How much do you think that shapes your music, the music that you make, and the people that you are?
I think early on it shaped us a lot. Now, you know, we're grown ass men, so it's very, very influential on our music and us people. We're very proud of it. I mean, it's where we're from. It's what we know. So when we get traveling, there's a song on the new record called "Always California in My Head," and it's about traveling. We were on tour last winter and it was freezing. We were in the East Coast and we would see everyone's post on Instagram of sunny San Diego, California. And we were like so jealous and envious. Like, man, I just want to be home.
Right.
And I'm freezing my butt off over here. I love what I do, but how do people live in this cold tundra? I don't get it. And so I was getting for me personally, I was getting a little bummed out and depressed about it. And, you know, sometimes you just got to sit there and, you know, smell the roses. Okay, I don't get to experience this 3 feet of snow. And you know what? I didn't like it at the time. But now when I look back and reflect, I go, you know what? I don't get to experience that. That's a beautiful thing. Just enjoy it because you live in San Diego. But as far as traveling around, we wrote a song about no matter where we go, no matter how we're feeling, if we're feeling low, it's always Southern California in our head, dude. And we wrote a song about it, dude, because it's impacted our lives that much.
Well, I think it kind of speaks to what we were saying before. Like, I've moved around a lot. I've got family all over the place. And England is this cold, dreary, where I grew up. It's cold. It's gray. It rains an awful lot. There's a lot that kind of, you know, there's a lot there that can bring you down and does. Like, you talk to, you know, it's so funny to be at the mercy of the weather. Your happiness is like, everyone I know from San Diego, everyone like you, how you doing? Oh, it's another beautiful day in San Diego. Dude, you're 50 years old. You've lived here your entire life. It's always warm and sunny. This can't possibly still be interesting to you, but it really affects your state of mind. Whereas I find people in England like, I'm all right. I'm okay. Yeah. But then the people in England, I find different ways to get their happiness because it's sort of a workaround. And like, you have this incredible, beautiful, positive thing that you take with you into the world and people pick up on it. I noticed something about folks from the Midwest where it's a very different thing. But when you live in a part of the world like, say, Minneapolis, where Mother Nature actively tries to end your life 12 weeks out of the year,
man,
one thing I notice about those folks is they look out for each other in a way that is unique to those cold climates because they come from a place where, oh, it's cold, the power went out, we should check on our elderly neighbors because, you know, they could be dead. And so it's like, you know, people kind of watch each other's back in those environments. So every place has a different way that they get sort of like a sense of positivity out of life.
Yeah, and I'm not, you know, dissing any other parts. I'm just saying that's what influenced that song.
Yeah.
We love San Diego, man. We love Southern California. We love the weather. And we grew up here, man. And we love to write songs about it.
Yeah.
It started back in Southtown. We had a song that was one of our first songs about it. It's more about the neighborhood here. But as the years have progressed, we have another song called California. This one's Always California in My Head. So it's just like, if you think about it, the Chili Peppers kind of do the same thing.
Oh, yeah, no, the Chili Peppers have been known. We talked about this before. There's some bands that write the same song over and over again.
Yeah.
I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I kind of feel like they go in and go, what you got, Flea? Bompa-dank, bompa-dank.
Yeah.
You got anything about California, Alabama, swing a hammer, wear a bandana? Sweet. We can all go buy new islands now. Did you say California a couple times in that? Yeah, we're good.
Well,
it's Chili
that
Pepper
started
song.
with the Beatles. I mean, not the Beatles, the Beach Boys.
Really?
Yeah, man. Think about that.
Yeah.
And if you think, one of my favorite Beach Boys albums is Pet Sounds. That album is amazing, and it's one of, I want to say it's the record that influenced the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's.
I think that Brian Wilson, when he was going through what he was going through, when he made that record, probably birthed like 25 other albums. That like, I mean, it was just, you cannot.
And where are they from?
Right. Yes. California.
Exactly.
And you know, it's funny because like, the places I've called home in America: New York, California, Texas.
Yes.
And especially in places like Texas, like you get out to the south side.
You got a Britain, Texas, huh?
Where you get out to the south side of Texas, and like you're closer to water, you're closer to in a place like Clear Lake, or you're closer to Galveston or something like that. You see people gravitate to bands like you, and gravitate to bands like maybe Dirty Heads, or bands that are quintessentially Californian. And I don't think that's any mistake. It's like they see you, they hear that in your music, it sounds great, and they want to get a piece of that whenever you come to town.
You know, we hear that on the road. I can't wait. I've never been to California. What's it like?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and they're there in flip flops and a ball cap, looking like they live in the OC.
But you know what? I was the same way about New York. I never been to New York, and when I finally got there, it was just a whole nother experience, man. It's its own animal, just like SoCal is. Mm-hmm. It's a whole nother beautiful thing, man.
New York City is.
I can only hang for about a week there, though, and then I'm like, I got to get out of here.
It's if you're used to the sound of waves and some open space, it's gonna put you in a bit of a claustrophobic situation.
Well, the smell of trash. You know what I mean?
Burnt pretzels.
Yeah, and it's cool.
Yeah,
but I think that's why I like Long Island. Long Island reminds me a little more of West Coast vibes. I'm talking about the way it's laid out, the neighborhood,
right?
All that. So,
well, I mean,
if I had to live out there, I live in Long Island, dude.
What a lot of people don't realize is there's a Long Beach in New York. There's a surfing scene in New York, right outside of New. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's well, you remember the big hurricane that came in and devastated a good chunk of the East Coast. One of the things that interrupted was a massive surfing competition in New York City. They were like, "Oh my gosh, we're bringing surfing to New York City! Who knew you could do this?" And you could, but it didn't really happen the way it was supposed to. But yeah, no, it makes sense that you would want to live in Long Island.
Strong Island, man.
Strong Island. It's funny. I talked to Chuck D about this, and I was like, all right, what's the deal? Jerry Seinfeld, you, F. Scott Fitzgerald, like just the list of artists and musicians and writers that came from Long Island is just ridiculous. I was like, what is it about Long Island that has produced so many of entertainment's greatest minds? And he was just like, when you grow up in the shadow of a place like New York City, it creates an aspirational quality in your character where and I kind of feel the same way about you guys, San Diego, Los Angeles. Make sense?
Yeah, man. I agree. San Diego's a trip, though, man. A lot of transplants here. I've been called a golden unicorn because I'm one of the few that's been born and raised here. They're like, oh, we have a term for you guys, the golden unicorn. I'm like, stop it. I go, there's a ton of golden unicorns I know because I'm from here, but you guys obviously don't meet locals like me.
I have a term for people like you. It's Padres fan. And I remember I remember first time I went to a Padres game, I was like, people are crazy for it. And this is a team in dead last place, but they love it. And I was like, I mean, I get it. Trust me. I understand what it is to be a fan of a team that sucks. I love the New York Mets. But it was explained to me this way. We don't have much that's just for us. If you're from San Diego, this is a town where everybody shows up and no one ever wants to leave. So there's a lot of people that are not from here that, support other teams, but the Padres are ours. They're our last real sports team that we've got left, and they are ours.
Well, don't get me started on that because I've been following the Padres because I was born here since I was a kid.
Yeah.
They used to build the team around great players. They don't do that anymore. They get a great player, then they trade them off, man. And it's like, if I was able to express that to the owners, I'd be like, listen, guys, you got these few great players. Let's make the team great by adding a bunch of great players around the great players we have. That's how these other teams are kicking butt. But no, you guys trade whatever we have, and we have to we're like, it's disappointing.
But you still show up because they're yours.
Well, I have another team too, the Angels, and they ain't doing so hot, but but they're right up the street. So
you can get excited by Trout.
Yeah, exactly.
for AD on the radio.
So you went and saw the Mets play when you were in New York City. You saw them play Trout and your Angels. Your backup team. I can't hate. I've got a backup team too. It's the Houston Astros, and that's been useful. But that's because I spent 10 years.
Yeah, but for me, that's a Southern California team, the Angels, and since my Padres don't seem to be getting it done at times, I was like, dude, I love the Angels, and I get to go see American League teams come through that I want to, like if the Yankees come through or Detroit. I get to go up there and watch the Angels play, them teams.
Yeah.
So it's cool, man. It's like your AFC, NFC football team. You know what I'm saying? Let's not even go there. But yeah, dude, I had a good time. I really enjoyed my time there, man. That ballpark is. I'm talking about the Met, dude. It's beautiful, dude.
You went to Citi Field.
Was it Citi Field?
Yeah, if you went to see the Mets play in New York, you saw them at Citi Field.
Oh, well, see, I obviously don't know what I'm talking about. But it was have you been there?
No, here's the thing. I left New York when Shea was just about to go out. And, I've never had I've seen the Mets play pretty much all over the rest of the country. I haven't gotten a chance to see him in Citi Field. And every year I plan a pilgrimage to Citi Field. And every year... I'm not trying to sound all boo-hoo, but it's always something really big that gets in the way, your sister's getting married.
Oh.
Okay. Or, your cousin died. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So but it's always been a major life thing.
So you're telling me your family gets in the way?
It's not always family. Sometimes it's professional. Sometimes it's always something where there's not a choice in the matter. It's not a, but I have seen the Mets play the Padres numerous times, and you know what? It's one of those things where the Mets suck, and so.
But so do the Padres, and anyone can win that game.
Well, here's the thing: this season, we had an incredible start to the season. The Mets had this unbelievable winning streak, and everyone was confident that they were going to contend, probably go to the World Series, maybe even win, just based on how they were playing and the heart they were playing with. And it was and so I got the best seats I have ever had for any baseball game ever. And I'm not right behind home plate, but it's closer than I've ever been. Yeah. And I've got chills walking into the park. I'm there are my guys right there. And not only am I down here for batting practice, I'm going to spend the whole game this distance from them. I can see them squint into the sunlight. I can see all this. This is incredible. And they were the best seats I've ever had to watch them have an up close beating like you wouldn't believe. When the Padres house you 12-4, it is not a good day. And it's funny because I had friends that were watching the game on TV and they were texting me. They're take your head out of your hands. You're bumming us out. They could see me on TV looking sad as we got our asses beat.
I'm sorry. That's a great story, though. I can't. That's pretty funny. At least they were looking out for you, man. They were like, "Hey, man, come on, have some integrity, man. Chin up."
It was bad. But next day I went back and I had, I'm kind of I'm not a thing that's making me sound all grandiose, but I enjoy watching Mets games with the rest of Mets Twitter. I have no interest in being in the room with someone who's not a Mets fan pretending to cheer. When the Mets were in the World Series, the guy who was the night guy was at this radio station was I'll come over and cheer for you, cheer for the Mets in your World Series. I was no. And he's what are you talking about? I was because I know you. You're an Oakland A's fan. You're going to be rummaging through my fridge, asking me where I got my curtains. You can come over anytime. I'm more than happy to play host. But if you're not invested, I would rather enjoy it with the rest of Mets Twitter. Cheering with them online as an out-of-market fan is a big deal to me. And all of Mets Twitter was dude, you're bumming us out.
Wow.
Cheer the hell up, chin up. You're not allowed to sit close because we're getting our asses beat. And then the next day I went back and I had nosebleeds and we won 14-2.
You're
and they were you're never allowed to sit close ever again at any game.
That's funny. That's a good story, man.
I wanted to talk to you. We're talking about being athletic and athletes, and you are looking significantly more athletic than you were this time last year. You look like you are in much better shape than I've ever seen you before.
Well, thank you, man. the struggle is real, and the struggle continues. I am, as I've gotten older, I've had to make some choices to try to make some better decisions in my life to live a healthier lifestyle. And I had that, I'll call it that come to Jesus moment with my doctor. Mm-hmm. I gotten pretty heavy, and my doctor was like, I was complaining about certain ailments, and he was like, I have to break it down to you, and I'm going to be frank and blunt, and you might not like what I have to say, but I wouldn't be a good doctor if I didn't tell you the dang truth. Mm-hmm. And he basically broke it down for me, and he's kind of helped me along on my journey, and we made some decisions together to make some changes in my lifestyle to help me get to where I'm at today.
I mean, what you do, going out on stage the way you do every single night. Let's just forget that you guys put on one of the craziest shows anyone's ever going to see.
Oh, thanks.
But just the fact that if you were a normal person hanging a 25-pound piece of wood around your neck and standing up for 2 hours at a time, that's not easy. Like you got to be in shape just to do that.
Well, let's just put it this way. Gravity is not our friend. And what I mean, when I get frustrated at home and something drops, I'm like, gosh, man. And it, just life. But think about it. He broke it down. It's like every pound that you have extra on your body is like, I could be wrong. I may be misquoting him here. So from what I gathered, what he said was, it's like 10 pounds of pressure on your knees for every pound overweight that you are.
Wow.
And so if you're...
I've never heard that math done before. Were your knees bothering you?
Yes. My lower back, my middle back, my knees. It was, everything's connected. So he broke it down. He's like, dude, gravity is pulling us down. And if you're you're carrying this extra baggage on you, your body's going to, as you get older, it's going to start to show that the wear and tear. And I knew I had an issue when I would lay in bed and the hurting wouldn't stop. The pain wouldn't stop. And I was like, dude, what is going on with me? I can't sleep right. So I had to make some conscious decisions, man. Like I exercise like at least 5 days a week. 3 days I'm doing a little iron, and 5 days a week I'm doing some sort of walking, jogging, cardio. And then portion control and making better choices on what I eat, dude. And so I cut out rice. I cut out flour tortillas, being Hispanic of Mexican, the Mexican culture. I love tortillas. Tortillas were handmade in my home, and at times there was never any forks or spoons. There was a big stack of tortillas, and you just ate what was in front of you with the tortilla. It was like your fork or your spoon.
Right.
So think about all the carbs in that.
Well, it's so funny because, like, once you start paying attention, like now, it's so funny that you're in shape because I feel like everybody...
Well, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Well, look, you look lean and mean to the average person, and especially when you look at a picture of you this time last year. It's a tremendous difference. And I think so much of that is, being conscious of what you put in your body when you go like, oh, man, a tortilla has, 2 tortillas. I could have had, a piece of chicken or a piece of steak and gotten a lot more out of it. I can't believe we're out of time. You got to come back and do this again. But I'm glad you talked about gravity, because if there's one thing that you know how to do, it's lift people up and help them escape gravity, whether it's a spiritual gravity or whether it's actual gravity. I got to get some more health and fitness tips from you. But if you want to be uplifted, if you want to escape gravity for a second, you could not do yourself wrong by listening to POD's Circles, out on Friday. Marcos Curiel from POD, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.